Hello everybody, welcome back to Cinema Savvy. It is myself George bringing a brand new review, and today I'm going to be talking about The Long Walk, which is now out in cinemas, which is an adaptation of the novel written by Stephen King. And I'm here to give my thoughts on this film, having seen it yesterday. This is not a book I've read that I was too familiar with, and maybe my own fault. This was a film I was not aware of until only a couple of months ago. I think it was around the time of San Diego Comic Con when I started seeing photos. Maybe the first trailer came out and more details came out about this. So I'm quite excited to talk about this film today. I didn't, well, not realise I wouldn't be. Since I saw the trailer, I've had this mapped down. I know I'd be seeing it. I went opening day on Friday, and I'm going to talk about my experience seeing it at the cinema. I want to add a couple of other things, but before I get into that, I do want to hear from people who have maybe read the book, people who've seen the film, not read the book. I'm curious to know what everybody's thoughts are, so please do comment them. I've replied to any comments that I do see on the channel, and as well as that, if you like this video, you like seeing new reviews, old videos, discussions, this is the absolute channel to join. So you can hit the subscribe button, hit the like to help us with the algorithms. You want to get us on social media where we're trying to post a little bit more, we put shorts as well. You can get a link tree which is in the description below, but we'll put you through to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd and Blue Sky. But let's talk The Long Walk properly, and I guess I'm going to kickstart talking about the director Francis Lawrence, who I didn't know was directing this film until very recently. And given his work, obviously, with the Hunger Games film series, he's obviously done young adult stuff before. I didn't know the context of this, whether this is a young adult book by Stephen King, whether there's an outright adult horror one. But it had me curious. But what had me curious with that is that Francis Lawrence has proven that he can work with phenomenal young talent, especially younger actors, get great performances out of them, and put them in the film and make it work. And I have enjoyed his Hunger Games work. I am looking forward to next year's one. I've not read the new book yet, but it's absolutely the Hunger Games I was looking forward to them doing once they sort of realised they'd go back and do a few more of the other games. So I'm excited to see that next year, and it's great he's been able to do some non-Hunger Games stuff as well. And that's kind of also a big point of this film for me. So if anyone's unfamiliar with the story of this film, this is about a group of teenage boys who compete in an annual contest known as the Long Walk, where they must maintain a certain walking speed or get shot. Very post-apocalyptic, very Hunger Games-esque, however you want to call it. And of course this book predates the Hunger Games by several decades, which is very much worth talking about. And it stars Cooper Hoffman, David Jonsson, Mark Hamill, and many more who I'll be talking about. But let's really get into the concept of this. And the concept of this film is what sold me the most. As somebody who couldn't walk for 400 miles straight at all, I loved the post-apocalyptic. I'm going to call it that because it's more dystopian, I guess you could say. But within the story, this is set after a war has sort of changed wherever we are based in, assuming America. Humanity's a bit different now, and there's an option for the young boys to enter this to win an unlimited prize pool of money and one wish that they will have for the rest of their lives. And I really enjoy that concept, and I think what worked with me off the initial premise of that, it feels quite unique. It's not something I've seen before. Whilst I've mentioned Hunger Games several times already, that is a death pit arena, and that has been done in film, that has been done in TV and in books. So it was really interesting to see it as almost a game show. Now we've got The Running Man releasing very soon, which similar-ish concepts at the finest of ishes, where it's obviously again a post-apocalyptic, dysfunctional society. To make money, you've got to survive these games. It's going to be televised, and this has a lot of those identities. But the perception of this being on a young cast, and that they are a group of boys working together to follow the rules to see who will survive the other, it's quite foreboding, and it's got this great drama side to it that you meet all these different types of character. No two people are the same, and it's about how their relationships develop, evolve, and I guess you could say finish throughout, as there can only be one winner. And I loved that. It worked so well. But the reason it worked so well is because of the casts and the actors that were hired for this project. And there has to be a massive shout for the casting team. I'm going to talk about David Jonsson first, who I guess is kind of the second lead. But I think given his work and what we've seen of him already, if you haven't seen Rye Lane, if you haven't seen Alien Romulus, I almost said Alien Earth, which is a great series ongoing. We'll do a review for that soon. David Jonsson is one of these young British actors who won a BAFTA this year, by the way, for British Breakthrough, I think. The public voted one, the E Rising Star, that's it. And I've got to say, I'm sort of attracted to any project he's going to be in. He, for a young actor, especially coming in through Britain, seems to be picking some of the great roles, and he is giving the most incredible performances, completely transforming into different characters every time. And I think he is superb. I think he is one to watch in the respective tone of everyone within the film is probably knowing of him now, they're starting to see him more. And I think this is an actor that's going to be a star, who's going to be a phenomenal performer, and within years will likely have accolades to go with it. Now, I haven't seen Industry yet. I know he's in that. I know that there are many of the great young British actors in that series too, which I've heard about. So I really should look into that. But I just had to talk about David Jonsson. He gives my favourite performance in this film. He is superb. And I've got to say, for the ensemble cast as well, not that we're involved in a junket, but I'd love to hear about how athletically fit they had to be to shoot this. That whilst in respective of a story, they're walking the whole time. The actors are walking the whole time. The cinematographers are going to be walking as well for a lot of it. There's a lot of handheld usage. And I really like how the walk is presented and shown on screen. It reminded me a little bit of Locke, for those familiar with that, the Tom Hardy film set in a car, where you have a very limited environment. Granted, this is a bit more. This is a walk and a path and a journey as such. But it still limits what the creative team can do from a technical perspective. And I think the film really delivered with that. And it's something that made I think it's 1 hour 48 runtime. It absolutely flew by for me. I was so invested in the story, in these characters. And as far as the ensemble goes, the lead of the film is Cooper Hoffman, who plays Raymond Garrity. I really liked him in this film. He's been in a couple of things now. Licorice Pizza is obviously the big one most people will think of. I thought he was great in this. He works so well as a lead, and I know he's spoken publicly about obviously what happened with his dad when he was younger and presenting his trauma on screen. I hadn't really thought of that watching it, but what I did think was this is a mighty fine performance from another great young actor who is starting to rise through. And maybe it's a Francis Lawrence effect with what he's done on the Hunger Games, but he gets so many wonderful performances out of these as well. I really want to quickly talk about Ben Wang, who plays Hank Olsen. He was in the new Karate Kid film, which was, if you'd seen my review in the year, it was a great surprise. I liked it. I thought it'd be terrible. I genuinely liked it. I thought it was fine. He was great in that leading role. We know he's been cast in the Hunger Games as well, so he's going to be working with Francis Lawrence again. But seeing these young actors who are starting to present themselves, whether it be through film, through TV, coming together, this feels like one of those films where in 10, 15 years' time, people might go back to and think, oh my God, that's got a young A, B, C, D. Just to name a couple of the other actors. We've got Garrett Waring, who plays Stebbins, who I'm unfamiliar with, if I'm totally honest. Turt Noynot, who plays Arthur Baker in this. Now, I've not seen him in anything, but I know that he was in the Dumping Ground, which, for anyone based here in England, you're thinking of Tracy Beaker. I believe it was a Tracy Beaker sequel series. So he's been obviously a young actor and is now making his move into Hollywood. And Charlie Plummer as well, who plays Barkovich, who I thought was great in this as well. Gives a great performance with the sequences we get with him, who plays one of the more interesting and unpredictable characters in this. Not related to the other Plummer, who was also in the same film as him. I have to clarify. I did have to double check. I was like, is he related to Christopher Plummer? No, he isn't. Just very small world, isn't it? That they get the same surname playing grandparents in the same film. But the cast is quite something. As I said, the young actors, the boys. There are times when you feel them emotionally. There are times where you're curious about them. There are times where you hate them, and ultimately you end up feeling sorry for them. And I think there must be great source material to have worked with the people that were involved in writing this and adapting it for the screen. Now, I've not read the book. I believe that there were quite a few changes made, changes that have happened with a lot of Stephen King books in the past, so I can't sit here talking authenticity. I won't say what I've read about them, just for spoiler's sake. I know, for example, one character wasn't involved and they sort of took apart his persona and put it on different characters elsewhere, and there are a couple of other changes of sequences. I don't mind it when it does that for the concept of adaptations. If it worked for the big screen, great. If it didn't, someone who's read it, please comment and tell me, because I would be really curious by that. And where I'm kind of going for that is my biggest criticism of this film, and it's mildly important but not really important, is the antagonist of the Major, played by Mark Hamill, who gives a great performance. Who it's always great to see Mark Hamill. I say in live action, that sounds horrible. Obviously, he's so well known as Luke Skywalker, and obviously his voice work. We don't see him in that many new releases, and it's always a lovely surprise when we do. And the fact we've had 2 in 2 months is really great. I liked what we got of him. I enjoyed his performance. What I felt was missing was depth, and it is quite two-dimensional. He is the major. He is involved with the concept of the walk. I'm not going to sit here and say the President Snow of this because this predates it, but I felt like I was missing the politics of this world. Yes, it's dystopian. Yes, these boys are on this walk. No, not knowing the political climate did not affect me watching this and me understanding these characters. But I think something I felt like I was missing that I could have really done with was just an overview of why was there an apocalypse? Why are the old ways renowned? What took place that transpired to change that? That's what I felt like I was missing as a viewer. And it's not essential to the story as such, but I think if I'd have had that knowledge, that would have added an extra sort of oomph onto it. In the same way, I'm going to say Hunger Games again, in the same way that Hunger Games is, well, to keep the capital in charge and the smaller districts in line, we will take 2 of your children from every district every year and have them fight to the death. That's quite a simple premise of talking about a totalitarian regime versus what isn't. And I felt like with this I needed something a little bit more with the major and this controlling government. Yes, the walk makes people more productive, but why? Why does it do that? And why do they need to walk? And what happened that led to it? They're the questions I have. Maybe they're not even in the book. But that's something I felt like is a criticism for me because the major didn't hit for me as an antagonist. Whilst I did enjoy the performance, I just felt like I was missing something more from him. But that doesn't take away from this film. I thought this film was exceptional, and I'm absolutely recommending it for people to watch at home. And when I say for people to watch at home, I mean my recommendation is go to the cinema and see this film. I was at 5:30 showing last night. It was 3/4 packed, which doesn't happen often at my cinema. We even had a cute old lady walking by mistake who thought it was Downton Abbey, and she was very quickly turned the wrong way and sent to a different screen because this was a very different type of film to Downton Abbey. So that's everything I'm going to say on this. It's a recommendation from me. I was just seeing it at the cinema. I think people will like it. I do want to know a bit more. I do want to know what the book readers think, and that is for me to do some research on past the point of releasing this review. So that is me rounding out from this review. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you feel like I've missed anything, please do comment and let me know. In the meantime, things are getting busy. We've got Toronto reviews starting. We've got the Emmys tomorrow as well. There's going to be a lot of things happening. We're prepping for London Film Festival, heading to a really busy time of year. And as always, we'll be posting what we can on social media and trying to do that a little bit more for you. So that is me rounding out. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.